Zookeepers of Reddit, what's the lowdown, dirty, inside scoop on zoos? Zookeepers of Reddit, what's the lowdown, dirty, inside scoop on zoos? Some people like to bring fruit and stuff to throw into the animals' cages, even though they're not supposed to. If you're around and someone throws a pineapple into the gorilla or chimpanzee dens, GTFO. They will throw that thing full blast at someone. I saw a man get hit full force right in the side of the head and he was lights out. Pineapple exploded on impact. Paramedics came and everything. Imagine dying from that and your cause of death being brain destroyed by pineapple thrown by chimp. What a terrible way to go. I mean, it leaves an impression, unlike dying of old age. He died doing what he loved, slinging cantaloupes at gorillas. I guess it's all about perspective. If that's how I go out, I will want a tombstone with that on it, a silhouette carved in the tombstone of the money shot. Rhinos may look super intimidating, and they can hurt you, but really they just act like big dogs. They love being scratched and will eat all the fruit out of your hand. A zoo-type place I visit for work on occasion calls them rhinos because they roll over and whimper because they want belly rubs with a bristle brush. Now I want to give a rhino a belly rub. Do they move their legs like dogs do when you give them a belly rub? No, they look as happy as a dog though. The babies fall asleep. Do rhinos have any predators besides humans? Is this why my friends and family call me a wino? Probably not, but maybe. I volunteer at an aquarium and the people always ask about whether the sharks that are in with the fish ever eat the fish. Officially we say, we keep them well fed enough that they don't, but on more than one morning on my initial walk around I have found remains of fish that definitely weren't feed fish. On a particularly memorable occasion I found the head of a large porgy just sitting on the bottom. A diver went in and got it before guests arrived. What does volunteer work at an aquarium look like? I'm pretty big into aquariums and live pretty close to my city's zoo, which has a pretty poorly maintained aquarium. I've thought about offering to volunteer, but I'm not exactly sure what that entails. When I volunteered at mine, it was over the summer, and I got college credit for it. They had a short 3-week training course before it started so they could teach us about the animals, and then a few days a week, I'd show up for a shift and I would be scheduled to stand outside different enclosures, basically just talking to visitors about the animals inside. Most were kids, so it was super easy to get them excited about the wildlife. I don't know how other aquariums do their programs, but it was pretty neat, would recommend it. Used to work at a zoo a few years ago. An elephant died while I was there, and to transport the body out of its enclosure they had to chop him up. Rip Toto. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you, Toto, to his enclosure, presumably. This comment is incredible. You win this thread. Partner was a zookeeper in Dallas. Safety protocols for when a large, dangerous animal escapes its enclosure dictate that you lock yourself in whatever room you can get to quickest and grab the nearest weapon, which, for most zookeepers, was a broom or rake for cleaning up animal poop. Lion got out of an enclosure when I was at the zoo on a field trip. The keepers all used shovels. It was good enough for the trenches of WW1. It's effectively stalemate if the lion digs their own trench. Should make the Christmas Day football match interesting though. The poor penguin keepers can never quite get rid of the miasma of dead fish that envelops them. As for me, the stinkiest job I ever had to do was cleaning out the duck ponds. Managed to empty a whole train carriage that evening, even though I had changed and my work clothes were double bagged. As a teen I worked as a janitor at a private school. One of my duties was dumping out and rinsing the kiddie pool belonging to the duck. The muck on the bottom of that thing, especially in summer, freaking stank. Imagine that, but a full-size waterfowl exhibit in a zoo that hadn't been drained and cleaned for about 3 years. And waders with holes in them. Yeah, that, lol. Surprised you didn't get some kinda infection that ate your leg off, lol. Lions know fully well that they can't get through the glass. They do that just to get attention. I worked at a zoo, in their museum function, not with the animals, and there was no glass in the big cat's enclosure. There was a giant moat, which the Tigera were always playing in, and a 20-odd foot straight vertical concrete wall. You could tell when they were in play mode. They'd pace back and forth along the edge of the moat and suddenly jump in surprise and roll around on their backs. For the casual visitor, they seemed like an oversized house cat. While they absolutely had small cat-like behaviors, I could never for a second forget what that could do. There was one particularly traumatic event with the lions on a very warm and very packed day. The zoo was inside a large park, so various animals wandered through the zoo all day. One unfortunate day, a large deer fell into the lion enclosure. The adolescent male stalked it and ran it down within about 30 seconds and tore the deer to shreds. In front of dozens of horrified adults and screaming kids. I felt kind of bad that so many people saw, but, like, circle of life. I mean, that was probably the best day ever to that lion though. Imagine a warm pizza falling from the sky into your lap. That's the kind of day he's having. The bird sanctuary has a bird hospital attached to it full of sick dying birds and smells like Satan's anus. From what I've learned here, everything in the zoo smells like Satan's anus. Dead zoo animals are sometimes fed to carnivores. There's a farm/zoo in the UK that uses crocodiles to get rid of dead cows. The owner once said he'd like the same end when he dies. Have you seen the price of caskets these days? Can't blame the guy. Alligator skin casket, very fashionable. We closed the baboon exhibit because a baboon had a stillbirth and the troupe was grieving. In reality, they were throwing parts of the infant corpse around and there was nothing we could do about it. I worked with wild macaques for a while, and when a baby died the mother would sometimes carry it around for days. Some females would also steal live babies and carry them around like they were their own. Except they couldn't nurse them, so they'd slowly starve to death. A few even stole baby raccoons, and that didn't go well either.